Welcome to Revelation Unraveled. I am your host, William Tapley, also known as the third eagle of the apocalypse and the co-prophet of these end times. This week, both the United Nations and the United States Congress will debate President Barack Obama's nuclear deal with Iran. And I know a lot of people are hoping that they will overturn this deal because, as Benjamin Netanyahu says, it is a bad deal, especially for the nation of Israel. But Bible prophecy says that it will be ratified because the two she-bears, that is Iran and Russia, must be strengthened in order to defeat the last king of the South, who is Barack Obama. And it is wishful thinking to think that any human body is going to defeat the forces of the one world government. And Obama is one of their chief minions at this time, although he will be betrayed and they will ultimately support the last king of the North, who is Putin, and following that, of course, they will install the Antichrist as the ruler of the entire planet. Now, I mentioned the two she-bears, Russia and Iran, and they are prophesied back in 2 Kings to maul 42 youths. Then two she-bears came out of the woods and mauled 42 of the boys. This refers to Russia and Iran defeating Israel in these end times. And in fact, just a few years ago, in December of 2010, which I believe marked the beginning of the 7 years of tribulation, there was that tremendous forest fire in Israel. Maybe you remember that. And one of the horrific tragedies that occurred at that time was when a school bus loaded with 42 cadets, they were burned alive with fire. And that should have been a warning to all the rabbis in Israel that Israel itself was about to be destroyed. And why will God allow the destruction of Israel? Because, as John states in Revelation 11, verse number 8, "And their bodies shall lie in the streets of the great city." Now this is a prophecy about the two witnesses, Enoch and Elijah, which is called spiritually Sodom and Egypt, where their Lord also was crucified. There's only one city where our Lord was crucified, and of course, that was Jerusalem. So God is going to allow this destruction of Jerusalem because it has become a Sodom and an Egypt. You cannot defy the laws of the Torah without being burned with fire and brimstone. Sodom's destruction was because of homosexuality. Israel spends over $100 million every year to promote Tel Aviv as the gay capital of the world. And both Israel and America will be burned with fire for the exact same reason, and that is their promotion of legalized homosexuality and legalized abortion, I might add. And Zechariah also prophesies this degeneration of Israel in the end times in his chapter 12, verse number 2. "Behold, I will make Jerusalem a lintel of surfeiting to all the people round about." Now please don't listen to the false prophets who say that Jerusalem will be a burdensome stone to the people round about. They are using a very bad translation. The lintel of surfeiting, which is from the Douay-Rheims Bible, is correct. However, I admit a lot of people don't understand it. They don't know the words for lintel and surfeiting. Lintel means a doorway. Surfeiting means luxurious excess. And Jerusalem, by their promotion of sodomy, has become a doorway to luxury. Of course, before the two she-bears, Iran and Russia, can defeat Israel and America, they must be strengthened. They are weak on their own. And that is the job of the last king of the North, Vladimir Putin, as we find in Daniel chapter 11, verse number 38. "But he shall worship the god Maozim in his place." What this means is that he, in this case the last king of the North, will strengthen the Muslims. Maoism should remain transliterated. You should not change that word into fortresses, as many of the Bibles say. This is a prophecy that Putin will give Iran nuclear devices. Now, what all this is building up to is not the Ezekiel 38 war, as the false prophets like to claim here on YouTube. It is leading up to the Daniel 9 war, which will result in the dividing up, the splitting up, and the destruction of Israel. So in conclusion, please don't fall under the delusion that people in Bible prophecy like Vladimir Putin or Barack Obama are going to be defeated by a human institution such as the United States Congress or the United Nations. Those two institutions are under the thumb of Satan in these end times. The only thing that will ultimately defeat the one world government, the New World Order, as prophesied in Daniel, is the stone cut without hands. Now, I used to think that the stone cut without hands was Jesus, but that is not true. Jesus is the one who cuts the stone, and the stone does not refer to any human institution. As I have told you many times before, the weapon Jesus uses to defeat the Antichrist is Mary's rosary. And you may not believe this now, but once the Antichrist comes to power, you will remember my words, and you will then understand that the only thing that defeats the number 6 is the number 5. And if you would like more information about my ministry here on YouTube, visit my thirdeaglemedia.com website.